There is a tremendous amount of misunderstanding about Botox. I think because it's so popularized now and everybody's heard the word, and there's so much information out there that many people think that it's a poison, that people, that very vain people get injected and then they look frozen. That's really what a lot of people come in here with, this idea. So Botox is a protein. It is indeed a protein that exists from the botulism organism. But I always try to make the analogy of like wine. Like 5 gallons of wine drunk in one sitting will absolutely kill you, and 1 glass of wine is helpful for your heart. And it is certainly true with Botox. If you ingested the amount of Botox that you get in botulism, you could potentially die. And we are using 5,000th of that amount when we inject it. So we use it in aesthetic practice, mainly for the treatment of what are called dynamic wrinkles. And what we mean by that is, we see people who their skin looks crummy because of sun damage. Or we see people who have lines, and really the quintessential most common ones are these lines right here. And these are not caused by sun damage, and often people get them at the age of 20 or so. And the reason is that they've always kind of knit their brow when they're concentrating. It doesn't mean that they're nasty people and they've been frowning all their lives, but often it has to do with a concentration kind of thing. And the important thing about them is that people look at someone who has deep lines here, particularly a younger person, and think, oh, they're angry and they're angry at me. And you get this kind of weird emotional overlay that people think you're angry if you have these lines, when in fact you might be perfectly happy. And particularly school teachers, I find, it's a problem. So when you put the Botox in, what it does is it relaxes these 2 little muscles completely. So those lines then go away. Unless they've been there for so long that they're pretty well etched in, but even then they soften up quite a bit. And then over the next 4 months, usually it's just about 4 months, the effects wear off, the muscle then becomes active again, and you need re-injection. It sounds like it's kind of a pain in the neck every 4 months, but the results, when it's done correctly, are so beautiful. It's so natural looking. And, now understand, every Joe Blow chiropractor is out there doing Botox. So you get a lot of people that look a little funny. Why these Hollywood people look funny is beyond me, because surely they could afford decent people having it done. But, if it's overdone, if it's not done precisely or correctly, you can look weird, absolutely. Now, the good news is it wears off. And the bad news is, since it wears off, these people can still continue to do this because no one can sue them about it. But when it's done properly, and we do it, we teach it to other physicians. We here in the office, Jen and myself, have been teaching other docs to do Botox for about 5 years now. It's beautiful. And there's many areas that can be done. This area is the predominant one, the glabella. Also, when you do this area, you get like a little bonus here. You get a brow lift, just a tiny elevation in the brow. And it's such a beautiful effect. And it's very, very subtle. It's, if you're getting a Spock effect, it's not correct. And we can always fix that if that does happen. But, a lot of people run around because they just weren't done correctly. And they look weird. They do look sometimes frozen. The most difficult area to treat is the forehead, and so by that I mean these lines that go across. Now, number one, they're not as important because they're not these lines that convey anger or sadness, but you have to be careful in treating this whole muscle, because this muscle, number one, it does cause the lines, but also it does this good thing of opening up your eyes. So it's kind of a little bit of a, you have to be careful, and you just want to maybe soften that rather than completely inhibit it altogether. The other area that we do are called the crow's feet, lines that emanate from here. And the muscle that we're treating here is the muscle that squeezes the eye shut. We're just treating it a little bit. You can still close your eyes. I have Botox, by the way, so I'm able to squeeze my eyes shut, but I don't have a lot of crow's feet when I smile. We can do some areas down here. We can do sometimes smoker's lines. But as you get down further in the face, it becomes a little bit like this is just always good. You know, sometimes down here it doesn't work in the way that we want it to. We can do sometimes pulling that. Some people have a strong muscle that pulls their corners of their mouth down, and we can put a little in right here to pull that up. Some people have something that in the literature is called dimply chin. So their chin's kind of all indented, and the muscles here are contracting too much, and you just smooth it out. Sometimes we can do these horizontal or vertical bands in the neck. We inject just a real superficial little bit in there. So it is widely utilized. I mean, you can't imagine the numbers of people that get Botox done, because the fact of the matter is, when you get it done, you see what you look like, most people are just on board because it looks so good.